If you're a young man, you've got to stop riding other people's big imaginary cocks. We all have people that we look up to, that we maybe idolize. Maybe it's a sports team, maybe it's somebody in your life. But I'm gonna be real with you guys. If you want to be a respectable young man and you want other people to see you and treat you that way, you just can't keep pedestalizing people. And I'm not talking about, giving people a compliment or appreciating someone's work. I'm talking people you meet that are often in a position where you want to be. Maybe they are more rich than you, maybe they're more famous, maybe they do something that you're really passionate about. But being real with you guys, about 90% of people watching this channel are men. So I'm gonna let you in on a secret. Being fans or idolizing people is for children, boys, and girls. Because that also happens to be the group of people that are more emotional and don't have such a strong foundation to control themselves and their emotions. You might think, okay, well, why is this important? How often do you actually meet people that's worth looking up to? Well, first off, if you're somebody who wants to grow, you better be surrounding yourself with people who are better than you. You better be trying to put yourself into situations that's going to increase your chances of meeting those kinds of people. I also thought at one point that those kinds of people, that have everything you want are extremely rare. And they are, if you look for them in the wrong places. Now, I'm not going to get into where those people are, but eventually I found myself at a point where I was meeting those people, the rich and successful people of all different levels. And honestly, to me back then, it wasn't very hard to impress me, especially if you're someone who makes a lot of money, because that's what all young men want. And if you say you don't, shut up, you do want that in one form or another. So I remember being in a meeting where this one person walked in, and I've never met them before, and they just kind of looked lost, or they just kind of stood there. And I naturally thought, I'll be the good guy, I'm gonna get up and show them out the door because they probably shouldn't be in here because this is not for them. But little did I know that this person was actually in a very high executive position within the company. And the moment I got to know that, which was very quick, I suddenly felt my heart racing. I suddenly felt like, holy crap, this is the first time ever I'm standing and I've shaken the hand of a person who makes like 400K a year. The amount of thoughts going through my head, I was like, wow, this must be a really, really important individual. He's so successful. He makes so much money. I want to be like him. I want to know more. I want to talk to him. But the only thing is, that's what everybody else did. Everybody else flocked to that person like he was some kind of celebrity. They were all fanboying over him. And I'm sure those kind of people sometimes like the attention, that's fine. But the point is, how does that important individual see you? Or see everybody else? Because honestly speaking, he's probably used to that reaction of people, where everybody wants to shake his hand, everybody wants to meet him, he is an important person in the company, everybody talks about him but rarely gets to meet him. So you're not gonna stand out if you just flock to that person like everybody else does. Instead, there are other ways you can either stand out or remain respectful and be respected back. That was just a small example. But you have to understand, if you want to open up your horizon, if you want to open up your network opportunities, you want those kinds of people to take you seriously. And they're not going to take you seriously if you just flock towards them just like every other person. They're going to ask them questions like, what kind of car you drive and what does your house look like? Where the questions you want to be answering are, what are some of your struggles that you went through to get here? Or maybe, what do you think the most important skill was necessary to get to where you're at today? Those are different questions. Those position you a lot differently. That is a sure way to immediately separate yourself from everybody else. But the absolute worst thing you can do, and a surefire way to make sure you are never taken seriously, is to idolize that person. I mean, how often do you guys watch a video of some kind of famous YouTuber outside, and in their video some weird fan interrupts them because they were stalking them and they just wanted to meet them, but it came off super weird and it was very creepy, and now everyone thinks there's something wrong with that person? That's how it comes off. So don't overcomplicate it. A very easy way to at least be respectable. You don't have to say anything smart. You don't have to pretend to be someone you're not. But the bare minimum that you can do, if you see a person that you admire, is see if it's convenient, if it's not disruptive, walk up to them, greet them, and tell them that you admire their work. Or maybe a positive thing of how their work impacted your life. That's it. It's that simple. At the very least, they're not gonna think you're weird and creepy. I'm not even talking about trying to impress them, because you're not really gonna impress a person who is way further in life than you are. So don't bother. Just be respectable. They will see you as a respectful young man. They're not gonna see you as some kid fanboy. If you want to be perceived as a kid by the person that you admire the most, and you see them in your life, and maybe this is a once in a lifetime opportunity, and you run up to them and you interrupt them and you want to get a picture with them or an autograph, that's on you. But how is that going to sit with you after? Okay, you got a photograph, maybe you can show your friends, great, you met that person. You'll get some clout for a couple seconds. But you will have to live with the thought in your mind that your only interaction with your idol for them was a negative experience. Because for them, they were doing something, they got rudely interrupted by some kid who, of course, just like everybody else, just wanted an autograph and a picture. Think about that. That probably wasn't a pleasant meetup for them. Instead, if you carry yourself more professionally and respectfully, maybe you don't get that picture, maybe you don't get that autograph, you walk up to them respectfully, don't interrupt them, introduce yourself and say a couple good things, maybe then they'll even be happy and offer you a picture or something of the sort. And you don't have to treat those things like a once in a lifetime opportunity, because if you're someone who is serious about your growth, you should think of it as whatever, this is just another person who is kind of like myself, but they're just a few years ahead. It's really nothing crazy. In fact, I might even meet them or run into them at a different point in my life, because I'm also going to be up there, because I'm also going to be doing these kind of things. If that's the mindset you approach these situations with, guess what? You're going to be looked at that exact way. But the constant cockriding of people that you idolize is just embarrassing. I know there's a lot of people in this world who are into sports. Personally, I'm an athletic person, but I absolutely do not watch sports. It is the most boring thing, and I don't see why I would want to spend my time watching sports. I completely get the social aspect, it's fun, but the activity of watching the sport itself, whatever. Not for me. But the part that makes you look bad is when you idolize it. When you talk about your favorite players like you wish they were your boyfriend. Why are you telling your friend about the success of another man and using that as a way to justify your position? How often is it where people talk about their favorite sports characters and they're like, no, well, I like this person because he's good at that. And the other person says, well, no, this guy kicks the ball better. This guy's a better goalie. Whatever terms, I don't know any of the terms that they use there. Whenever I hear that, I'm just like, there's one cock rider, there's another cock rider, and they're both measuring sizes of the cock they're riding. I mean, think about it. Why are you showing off another man's success? Worst of all, when you do it in front of your girl. Do you think she gains more respect for you when you glaze another guy? If anything, you're just convincing her that there's better men out there than you. Even if she doesn't say it, her subconscious mind thinks, damn, this guy sees himself so beneath the other men and that he would never be able to achieve anything of that sort even close, that he completely glazes over those successful men. That's so embarrassing. Every time I hear those things, it's just cringe. So moving forward, I used to meet those kind of people more and more as I got myself into higher positions, and I would often find myself in situations where I'm sitting at a table with really rich and successful individuals. And I had to learn how to behave myself and how to not be a fanboy for them to take me seriously. And instead, I treated them like a mentor, like they are someone who has answers that I want. I remember this one incident where I was running an event in a very upscale place where a lot of important people were coming to. And at one point, this woman came in and I showed her what's what, I did my thing, I did my job, and sent her off just like everybody else. And after that, I turned to look at the guys I was working with. And they all were standing with their mouths open. They were like, dude, do you know who that was? And I just looked at them like, I don't know, who was it? It's the CEO. Cool. What do they do? Well, it's the CEO of the watch company. Oh, wow, nice, cool. And I carried on. They were all like, but how did you keep your shit together? How did you compose yourself? How did you act like they're just another normal person? And I just thought, well, first off, I didn't know them. So of course, if you don't know somebody, you're just gonna treat them like any other person. But that's besides the point. Even if I knew who that person was, it would still not change anything. See, when I got used to meeting important people, an easy way to really de-pedestalize someone or dethrone them, if you just can't help it, you just love this idol your entire life, and you absolutely can't control yourself, just think of it this way. Break it down. They're not that special. They take a shit just like everybody else. They're just another human being that does human things, and certain parts of their life they've just put a lot of work into. But they also go to bed at night, they also have to take a shower, and they also have to eat food. If you start looking at important people like they're just a normal person, because actually most of the things they do are just what normal people do, and really the difference between them and you is they just did more of the right things for a much longer time than you have. Maybe they've had more time to do those things because they're older than you. And as long as you do those things too, for a long enough time, you'll also get there, and you'll realize that it's nothing crazy. They're just human. To be honest, this is actually one trick I used when I'd have to be in those situations, because honestly speaking, if I'm someone who wants to be like those people and who wants to reach their level of success, that means I'm going to be very excited to meet them. So for the first while, I had to use all those kinds of tricks. But now, it became normal because once you say that enough times, you just start seeing everybody as humans. They're just people. So guys, the bottom line is just be respectful, be well-mannered, and don't go cock-riding your idols because that just makes you look bad, and it's really, really embarrassing. You just haven't realized it yet. Catch you guys in the next one.